Violix Digital Light, it's included in Transitions product, and it's included in Eisen Plus product. And probably over time, we'll try to see how we can expand it further, because we really believe that it's our mission, as I said this morning, to make sure that the people that are using our product are really protected now, but for many, many years. And we know that this importance of protecting the eyes is going to grow in the market, because the life expectancy is growing. We know that people now, with some people, that's 1 people out of 3, 1 people out of 4 are going to be affected by AMD. It's huge. It's really huge. And the more our life expectancy will grow, the more this disease will develop. So we absolutely need to make all what is possible in order to try to prevent this kind of disease.
What made you decide to go the zero price increase route?
Why? I think we really want the optometrist to really endorse it as fast as possible. So we do not want to have any kind of money discussion with them. And we really believe it's so important to have the optometrist really pushing this message. And not discussing, okay, is it good, bad, whatever. Nobody says it's bad, it cannot be bad. So we know it's good to blah, blah, blah. But you can say, you can always, based on all the analyses that are all the medical study, say, okay, maybe it's not that useful or this useful. Okay. We want to stop this kind of discussion and just do it. So that was, in our mind, the most efficient way to do it.
Are you concerned about its impact on Prevencia sales?
I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so. Adding Prevencia to the blue product will increase the blue light protection. And I think the more people will be aware of the importance of protecting against blue light, the more they are going to ask for additional level of protection.
Maybe you could talk a little bit about how you want the ECP to understand why they should still prescribe Prevencia, even though the products have the blue light filter. I mean, how can we help them see that that still is a logical step for them?
Yes, I think the good thing, we know that people have different type of sensitivity to blue light. We know that there's a genetical part of it, there's a question of age. So depending on your age, depending on what type of medical history you have in your family, you can say, okay, I really want to get the maximum protection that is available, and it's Blue Protect plus the Prevencia, and it will lead to 40% type of cut of the blue light. Or I don't know, so I will just benefit from the classical blue light protection.
Wouldn't there be a concern, I think this is what Mark is alluding to, that the practitioner now says, well, I have a blue light product inherent in the lens that I'm selling. Why do I need to extend my patient any further? Because their inclination is always to try to save the patient some money, to some degree.
It's really their choice. It's really their choice. So probably some of them will do it, but I think, the more you get engaged into this blue light issue, the more I think they are going to be willing to protect their patients against the blue light. But we will see. It's a potential risk.
It also does kind of set a bar where now everyone is going to be prescribing some lenses with a blue light filter. So it's not as if you have to convince them, oh, now I need to kind of get into that. So you kind of set the bar where they can then make the next move for them, an upgrade.
And probably in the coming years, we are going to continue to understand more what are the consequences of blue light, what is important, what is the right threshold that we need to reach in order to have the right level of protection, and probably it's going to continue to evolve. We at this stage, the medical elements are not completely done. So we know the danger, how dangerous, what exactly needs to be done still need to be analyzed further.
Eric, can I just add one thing to the whole thing? I think we think it's great if the practitioners are discussing how much blue light do you need, because today many of them aren't even talking about it. So of course we'll get beyond that first step by making it ubiquitous in the marketplace and broadly available to a U.S. consumer. And if they're having a discussion with the patient about how much blue light you have, we are great.
Right. It's a step in the right
We're in a good situation.
How do you think your competition is going to respond to this? It's kind of a game changer.
Wow, it's a good question. I don't know. We'll see.
What we imagine that
we talk about the consumer
the competition will follow in a way or another.
Right.
We don't know exactly. There is some technological roadblocks. So I don't know if they can do it and which speed. But I think it's good. I think because I think as an industry we want this to become a standard, and competition is good in order to create standard.
Well, obviously, it gives ECPs a reason to prescribe your product over another company's product because the value is inherent, already built in. The question I have, two questions actually. One is, what was the success of Preventia? And do you feel that ECPs are jumping on the blue light bandwagon? We're working on something on this right now. We're finding not a lot of folks are really prescribing blue light products. So was that part of the reason why to just put it into the product? And my other question is, do you have information on the efficiency of the blue light filter in the smart filter versus the Preventia product? Sorry, that's a lot of questions.
So we know that we are in an industry that is relatively slow to change.
Right.
It takes time to change habits, and it's just because there are many people involved that you have quite a lot of turnover in the practices. So when you train people, they change as well. So you have to retrain and to do all this kind of thing. So when Preventia has been extremely successful, I think I don't know exactly the last number, but probably you have it.
It's probably 12% right now. The
Wow.
Crizal lenses coming out of our labs. It's growing, growing like this.
And continuing to grow.
That's continuing to grow.
Yes.
So it has been successful, but it's true also that 12% of Crizal is much too small. So either we really believe in the fact that we need to protect, and we can say, we have 12% of Crizal, and in 5 years from now, we will be at 40% or 60%. It's okay.
It's too slow.
It's too slow.
Right.
It's too slow. We have to go faster, and so that's the reason why we have chosen this route to.
For sure. And do you have information kind of on the effectiveness of the filter?
The effectiveness is relatively similar.
It's exactly the same.
It's around 20%. We saw that 20% was the right number for the general public.
Right.
Why we put this 20%?
20% of blue light filtered?
20% of the bad blue light.
Of bad. So why not 100%? Does that affect optics or color perception?
Yeah, it becomes yellow. If you really cut the blue, then the lens become yellow.
Right.
So we do not believe that people
Want a yellow lens.
want a yellow lens, and therefore we say 20% based on the additional amount of blue light that is generated by the change of our perception. We hope that Mother Nature has organized things in a good way. So we see the percentage of the exposition to blue light increasing. But we say, if we reduce by 20%, we say, that's probably a good number. It's a little bit empirical at this stage, so we don't know for sure.
Kind of in a little bit of a race, I think, with technology too, as we get more and more exposed to blue light. Your body, of course, we're probably stepping all over Pete's presentation, but your body is able to handle a certain quantity, but we just keep exposing ourselves to more and more blue. So we kind of turned back the level of time. I kind of like to think about it. One piece of the Crizal Prevencia, when you add on top now, you're up to 35%. So when you add Crizal Prevencia on top of this, so
that brings it to
35%,
Okay.
and we think that that's the right level for where we are currently. Now,
Does
who
that
knows 10
change
years
the
from now how
color
much
of the lens?
I don't know, Pete, do you want to talk about that? Does that change the color? Well, you get the same Crizal Prevencia, which has the slight purple glint to it.
And,
Yeah.
and I will say, we are releasing the press release and all of the kind of statistics and technical information on this right now, so you guys will have it in your inboxes probably as soon as we're done talking.
There's a lot of unknowns as it relates to the impact of blue light and how much and so on and so forth. What are you guys doing to help kind of establish the lead, if you will, that this is something that needs to be focused on to basically help shape the conversation that ECPs have or engaging with a specialist to help formulate the overall impact to your point of AMD and things of that nature?
Maybe you want to
So, sure, a couple things. One is we do some great work internationally around really trying to get to the bottom of the understanding. We have a relationship with the Paris Institute and other groups, so really getting to the science side of it. We do believe relationships with retinologists, we do believe relationships with people who truly are focusing on the retina will become important parts of it as well. So all those pieces are in place, and I would like to address a comment about the yellow lens as well. I mean, if in fact, and we believe this will be the case, we continue to learn about the true dangers of this, it may make sense to have a product that blocks 100%.
For sure.
I don't care what color it is.
Right.
If that means I'm going to protect my
You're not
vision
gonna
for
go
the rest of my
blind,
life,
then,
that may
yeah.
be important. So the learnings that we're going to continue, the partnerships that we continue to have become very important. I don't know, maybe Lucia can even speak a bit to that, but we find that to be critical because for us, it is the science has to be there. But, as Eric said very well, to wait for the science doesn't make sense either, and that's why we made the decision. And then one last thing I'd just say, just to be clear, the reason we did this was not because slow sales of Prevencia. The idea of giving away this had a lot more to do with our mission and what we believe than the lack of success. We had a lot of success with Prevencia. It was continuing to grow and do well, but this was a decision, candidly, driven by Eric that we all believe in.
It's a great thing.
Are they doing this in your other markets overseas?
We have slightly different strategy from one market to another. It's clear that we are probably a little bit more pushy in the US. We want to make it bigger and faster. So it's what we are trying to do.
Eric's challenge was, so he'll deduct from each of the executive's salary in order to get the product.
Get back to the American people.
Right, exactly.
But you know what's interesting is about our sales meeting, is because it happens the first week of January, we kind of set the tone for the company because we're the first ones usually to talk about these things. So let's see how the other regions follow.
There was an interesting point made this morning that this is going to be the solution until, of course, they figure out how to, incorporate blue light protection into the screens and into light bulbs and stuff like that. I mean, is that kind of technology imminent?
There are some already available. You can buy a screen that you can put on your iPhone. But blue light is clearly not only a question of screen.
Right, it's outside.
But you have the blue light from the sun.
Right. So we are working on a device that covers the sun.
We called the sun, and the sun said he didn't care.
Wife and I'm not surprised. Harrison Ford will be your spokesperson.
And then just a question, our life expectancy has probably increased more than 20%. So, that's the fact that we have just more exposed.
And we're not working on decreasing life expectancy.
And there are also some element of physics around it. It's clear that when you are developing LED type of technology, the LED type of technology by essence is more blue. And that's the way it works. So you can block it, but if you block it, then you reduce the efficiency because you reduce the intensity of the light. So there is this kind of trade-off of, okay, we can remove the blue, but if you remove the blue, then you have less light. So,
One more point I'd like to make, I wish we could bring you all over to Paris to see the kind of work that's being done here. It would be I guess I stepped into that one. All kidding aside, our advisory panel over there, and I think they were really taken aback by the fact of what our research looks like. It's not like what you might expect in spectacle lenses. It's more like what you'd expect in pharmaceutical or even in some ways contact lenses. And I think they were really, their eyes were open, forgive the pun, to see really what science is being done in spectacle lenses today that's unlike what you might expect. And we're hoping to hopefully put together a video of some sort so that you guys can have some insight. It's either take you to Paris or show you a video. We're going to probably err towards the video side for now. But no, all kidding aside, for me as a clinician, or used to be clinician, it was pretty amazing to see. And we have PhDs working in this area. So this is real science going on, and we hope to be able to deliver more. But the reality is, like anything, I mean, UV, think back on UV. Did we have every piece of evidence we needed about UV when we started saying that UV was important? Probably not. And I think there's a lot of similarities here. But our expectations are we'll be able to deliver a lot of good science, or continue to deliver even more science in this space.
Go ahead. Yeah, he's got a question.
For either Howard or Eric, you know, there are other healthcare implications for exposure to blue light. You know, for example, it affects the production of melatonin, which of course ties into the circadian rhythm and sleep cycles. So on a broader healthcare, health and wellness level, is this something that Essilor would be communicating along with the eye care implications about blue light exposure? Would you be telling that story to ECPs to help them? Let's say they have young patients who stare at screens and they're already sleep deprived. Maybe the optometrist can have that conversation with them. Is that part of the dialogue?
It's clearly part of it. That's the reason why we have selected a selective blue light filtering, and so we are letting the blue light that is used in order to do this circadian rhythm. I don't know if it's the right pronunciation. And so we are doing it. Maybe there will be other products in the future that will do the reverse, because we know that reading iPads before sleeping is not good for your sleep, and it has been proved. So maybe that will. That's the reverse, is to block it's not the blue violet, it's a more blue light that is the one that is impact on the circadian rhythm.
We really could use your help, because, the skeptics are out there. The people say, oh, this is just another way that, and I think it really adds to the reason why we feel good about the decision we've made. Oh, it's just about us, we're trying to sell something else, and there's really no value here. And I think what we hope is this takes away some of that concern as well. If it was all about the dollars, then we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. We truly believe in this. But we hear it, we hear, oh, it's just another scheme to try to sell more lenses.
Have you thought about attempting to create an educational initiative around this and maybe even draw your competitors into it?
Well, I think with the partnership with many people sitting in this room, we hope to be able to do that in 2016. And you've done, I think probably all of you have covered some stories on blue light to some extent, and we hope we'll continue to be able to partner with you.
It was the flavor of the month in 2015.
Was it? Okay. Well, we hope it'll continue to be. Okay, it's important. It's important enough to make it that, and you obviously made that decision. And thank you very much, Pete. We appreciate that presentation.
We start educating everybody because
See, you should feel good about that.
Yeah. I have one more question about aesthetics, because obviously there's a blue reflection off of, I could see them on your glasses right now.
Yes.
So will all the lenses have that?
No.
Okay.
No, the new technology do not have.
We probably haven't made that clear enough.
Yeah. So there's two very different type of technology. There is the one that we are using for prevention.
Okay.
And the one used by prevention is about reflecting the blue light. It's the reason why you see it,
Right.
because we reflect
You see it,
like
it bounces
a mirror.
off. Right, okay. And this
The
is
new
in, the
technology
filter's in,
that we are going to launch. It's about absorbing the blue light.
I see.
So you do not see it. And then we have made some technical elements to make the lens white.
Interesting. That's
And
great.
when you add them two together, you get the additive event of the 35% that
Right.
you mentioned blue, but you will still get the purple if you put
Right.
resolve prevention on it. It's the same
Okay.
thing, but without that, the basic blue coverage is completely different.
Yeah, thank you for asking that, because we want to make sure that's clear. We only felt comfortable putting on this broad range of products because it would not change the aesthetics.
It wouldn't
of
show
the
up,
lens at all.
right, which is great.
Should we turn it over to Pete?
Yeah, I think we can. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah.
Let's go.
So I had a list of about 10 things that I was going to talk about and mentally checking them off. Okay, hit that one.
It's a big splash.
So, let me try a little different tack. So as we prepare, so I direct our technical marketing team. And so our job is to try to take all the technical aspects of our products and make them communicable, so to speak. And so when I do that, I usually approach our products with a skeptical eye because, if I can't convince myself that there's something here, then I'm not going to be able to convince anyone else. And with this one, the more I read, I feel a lot like where we were with UV for years and years and years. Okay, because the Waterman study that finally linked UV to, absolute damage was in 1995. Okay, so but for years and years before that, we kind of suspected UV probably wasn't a good thing for the eye. What's different in this case is we're in the same spot. We really suspect that blue light is not good for the eye. What's the difference? With UV, what damage does UV do? What's the singular thing that it causes? Cataracts. We have surgery for that. We can fix it. Okay? How do you fix macular degeneration? Okay, so you might as well take care of it. Now, the other thing that popped out at me is remember that there's three things at play. Does blue light by itself cause macular degeneration? I don't think that's what we're saying. But you have a genetic component, so some people are more likely to get it. You have a lifestyle component, and then you've got a toxin. Now, just to give you an analogy to think about, okay, this is a lot like another thing that's in the U.S. It's a very specific disease called diabetes. Think about it. Some people are more genetically liable to become diabetic. But there's a lifestyle component, and there's a toxin. What is that toxin? Corn syrup. We've added it into everything in our diet, which is why Americans get diabetes at far higher rates than any other culture. So what do we have in this case? You can be genetically predisposed to get AMD. Okay? Your lifestyle, what is our lifestyle these days? We're looking at these all day long. You look at the signature of an incandescent bulb, and it has no blue light in it. So in the olden days, you went inside at night, you turned your lights on, and you were getting no blue light. Now you're getting blue light all of the time. Okay? So we've increased the exposure quite a bit. So I heard the questions about, so which people should just have smart blue filter, and which people should have smart blue filter plus prevention? Well, if you continue the analogy along, if you're only suspect for diabetes, so you're a young kid, you don't have diabetes, right? What is still a good idea? Cut down on your sugar. Okay? Maybe not eliminate your sugar, but at least cut down on it. And that's really what the smart blue filter does. It cuts your sugar, or blue light in this case, by 20%. And that's not a bad thing. Okay? There's nothing about blue violet light that we found that has any beneficial impact on your health whatsoever. The other kinds of blue light can be beneficial, and in fact, there's some evidence that you have to have it. Okay? But not blue violet. That's just all bad.
So, looking at that another way, for a young teenager cutting down on sugar, they're missing something, right? So there's not that satisfaction of having that sugar. The question to answer, if blue light is bad, and once it's discovered as to what amount, why not just cut it all out? Because they're not missing anything. They're not sacrificing anything to cut out all.
Yes. And the answer to that is if you cut out all of the harmful blue violet light, you cannot do it without starting to cut significant portions of blue turquoise light.
Okay.
And if you cut that out...
So that's what the high-risk category folks will be sacrificing to help prevent progression of AMD.
And just to follow along though, once you've been diagnosed with diabetes, what do you do with sugar? You get rid of it.
Right.
So that's your smart blue with Resolve Prevention on top of it, and maybe even possibly a yellow lens. Okay. But I mean, the other thing is real too, though, about if you do cut out all blue light. My dad, for example, has a lamp, which ironically is called Verilux, spelled differently, but it puts out blue light so that he doesn't feel depressed in the wintertime. Because he lives in Pennsylvania where it's cloudy all the time. Okay, so the other thing is, why is Essilor bringing this out? I think that what I like about it as an optician is if you wait for me, an optician, to start getting on board and selling this, it's going to take you forever, okay? But when you say, hey, it's free and it's invisible, well, what can I really come back and say about that, The beautiful thing is, even if for the practitioners that don't understand the hazards of blue light, as long as they just prescribe Verilux products or Eisen Plus or whatever, they're providing coverage now. Okay, whether or not they know what they're doing or not, and eventually they'll come around on it. Now, the other thing to understand, and we didn't talk about this from stage, so this is a little bit broader thing, is there's something called the Eye Protect system that you'll hear us talking about. And what Eye Protect is, you've now heard both parts of it. When you take ESPF, which of course is a Crizal concept that blocks UV, and you take Smart Blue Filter, okay, now you have blue and you have UV. When you put those together, you end up with the Eye Protect system. Okay, so what that means is when you order one of our products with the Smart Blue filter in it, and especially when you couple it with a Crizal that ends in the letters UV, okay, you're protecting the eye against blue and against UV. And the reason it's called Eye Protect system is, where does UV damage the eye? What part? The front. Where does blue damage the eye? The back. So if you want to protect the whole eye, you've got to protect against UV and blue light, and that's why it's the Eye Protect system. So, yes.
I don't know if this is a question for you or from someone from corporate communications. With kind of success that Genentech has had in raising the awareness of AMD to the population as a whole, is there consideration or are things in the works to kind of craft risk factors associated with AMD and maybe partner with a Genentech of the world to kind of spread the message outside of the ECP universe?
I think it's a question for you, actually.
Yeah, I think it's something we could definitely consider. At this point, we really want to make sure, we really just want people to start really truly understanding what harmful blue light is and the impact that it has on them. But that doesn't rule out being able to do that in a broader way through partnerships.
So is the core audience the consumer/patient looking to get them into the ECP, or the ECP looking to have that conversation with the patient?
Both. Absolutely both.
It's an ECP and a consumer message.
Yeah. Today, what you're hearing is really truly starting to educate the ECP. As Smart Blue Filter becomes available on the market, we will start educating the consumer as well.
The interesting thing is we just did some market research right before sales meeting, and it turns out that about 2/3 of the consumers say, hey, I have heard something about blue light. Now, the other interesting thing is only 1/4 of them know what it is that they need to know about blue light. So there's still a lot of education to be done, but rather than wait around for them all to become educated, they'll be getting protected at the beginning of the year. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, you saw a few spots that we covered during the general session and showed not only the trade media, but the consumer media that's covering this.
That's been covering blue light.
So how does this play in with Eisen, and how does the technology, what technology was Eisen using, and will that change?
So
Just how that all factor
the
in?
concept with Eisen was always twofold, and that is that, first of all, there's that whole half of the market that's single vision lenses that no one's ever really addressed. How could we make your lives better? And so the two things that Eisen provides is protection against blue light and relief of constant accommodation, okay? And the way that it accomplished that the original Eisen glasses, which is still around, by the way, the way it accomplishes that blue light protection is with Crizal prevention.
Okay.
Okay, so Crizal prevention basically acts, if you want to put it in simplistic terms, as a blue-violet mirror almost. It reflects it away from your eye. The new Eisen Plus lenses will have the Smart Blue filter just built right into it. So literally, when you look at these lenses, because someone asked what they look like regular clear lenses, so you can't even tell. But when you put them under a spectrograph, well, there's a chunk of blue light that's missing from what's being transmitted. So it's a pretty cool technology.
So will the new Plus have the Preventia and the Smart Blue filter?
Well, the new iZen Plus is designed to be a little bit more flexible of a lens, something that maybe the independent practitioner is a little more used to, and they can certainly order it with Resolve Preventia, in which case they'll get 35% reduction in harmful blue light.
But Pete, just to be clear, iZen Plus, if you order iZen Plus,
you can order it with no AR whatsoever.
It will not show any reflection.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. It'll look like a regular.
On another point relative to iZen Plus, there was mention today about a frame component to the program. Is that something you guys can talk about now?
No, that would be in relation to iZen Plus, in relation to the original iZen.
Yeah.
Oh, original iZen.
And the original iZen is actually called iZen Glasses because it's the concept is you're selling a complete pair of glasses, and especially because that's the way millennials kind of deal with things. They just want a solution, just give it to them.
And I think we'll be prepared in the next couple of months to really talk about what that looks like and what that launch looks like.
But headline to that, the independent ECP will have the same opportunity with iZen Glasses as anyone else.
The Vision Impact Institute has studied uncorrected refractive error. Is it possible at this point to measure the impact of blue light on the population and what economic impact that might have?
Certainly possible.
Yep, I'm not.
Remember, no, all kidding aside, though, remember what the Vision Impact Institute does. They're really not driving research, they're aggregating research. Now, we can certainly encourage those things, but the role of the Vision Impact Institute is to have one source you can go to where all the information that exists, credible information that exists in certain areas, you can reference. But your suggestion of trying to drive some of that certainly makes a lot of sense.
And when you read the research that's been done on blue light, it's almost humorous because it's like reading the same story over and over again. We tested this stuff with blue light. Boy, it really seems to be bad. Future research is needed, but and they've approached this from so many different angles, but all of them say the same thing. Boy, the blue light really looks like it's bad. We ought to look into this further, So everyone's seeing the same smoke. It's just
the only way that can be dealt with is a long horizon study, right? So I mean, you almost have to go through 50 years of someone's lifetime at a minimum, right, to really be able to prove that. So
The alternative
that's
is
why we rely on the studies we have.
As I say, the alternative is very short-term, high exposure. So if any of you are willing to contribute your maculas to that study,
just to add a little bit to it, it's I don't think we're talking a lot about this, but truthfully, I think we're at the beginning of a discussion right now where it's our industry, and there will probably be other industries which will probably detract away from our industry's discussion of blue light, because they will probably say, no, our things are not causing problems. No, we're not causing lung cancer. No, we're not causing global warming. We're not doing those things. So be prepared, I think, for our industry to potentially be talking to other industries against them. And, and of course, you guys are the press. You guys love a good controversy. But, be prepared that we will have those conversations, I think, over the next, maybe decades, with them as those who are responsible or contribute some kind of blue light.
So what's your strategy when you have to go head-to-head with Apple?
Well, I think we need to go, head-to-head with Apple, wow. I think the idea is we're going to continue to advance the research, continue to drive the link to understand how can we better protect people, what is the right level, all the questions you're asking, we're still at the beginning piece of that. We hope, of course we always hope it's not a head-to-head conversation, but let's go through other big controversies that have happened. Sometimes there is a head-to-head conversation. So we at least need to be prepared for that, and I think we need to continue to advance the science. And thank goodness, I think at least at Essilor, we're trying to advance that science.
Hey, Howard, is this science being taught now in optometry school?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I think we work with all the schools and colleges. They're very hungry for more information. Of course, these are scientists and researchers, and they want all the nitty-gritty detail, and we're trying to do our best through the Vision Impact Institute and other ways that we aggregate that information to provide them with that. But yeah, they're very hungry for it. We've had to pay, it's a great question because we've had to pay particular attention at the academic institutions to really work with them closely on this. Sure. It's a great question.
Is there an opportunity, or do you think it may be a competitive advantage for the tech companies of the world that as the science evolves, that this is harmful long-term to utilizers? It would make sense for Apple or whomever is manufacturing to not only endorse it, to maybe take on at no extra cost. All of our devices now have a filter that
Yeah.
absorbs the blue light as it's leaving rather than you blocking it as it's being received.
And one of the ways that you can tell that this is a real issue is because electronic companies are already starting to figure this out. There's something called an OLED, called an organic LED, that puts out less blue light than the LEDs they use today, and they're switching to these even as we speak.
Because we all less about the dry eye component that everyone's suffering from using.
To me, because I just came out of a session, and when the questions start getting way down the road, what it comes down to is we're getting rid of something that there's no value to, which is blue violet light. We're doing it in a way that you can't even tell is there, and we're giving it to you for free. So, I'm hoping that this will be a pretty easy sell-in, that, even if you don't know it's there, we're helping you out. So.
Have you guys ever been approached to maybe look to adapt your technology into other areas? Kind of like the Alcon-Google partnership?
Yeah, I probably can't answer that. I'm pretty sure we're in conversations with lots of people, but yeah, I couldn't say exactly if we've been approached. I expect that to happen more and more. It's interesting though, usually the reaction by other industries is when you first come out with something is not, oh, let's partner on that. Usually that's not how they respond. Usually it's deny, you delay. I think somebody at NPR was listening to all the approaches of the tobacco industry when they went through it, and the first part was completely deny. Then ultimately there's a whole strategy associated with it, but it takes about 10 to 20 years.
Wow.
So.
And concussions.
Yes, another one.